wings of their party together. Now, Democrats have outlined 4 main categories they plan to invest in with that budget resolution: infrastructure and jobs, families, climate, and health care.
The football great Herschel Walker running for U.S. Senate. Walker filing paperwork with the Federal Election Commission today for Georgia's next election. Now, this comes a few months after the former President Trump publicly supported the idea of him running for that position. However, some Republicans are concerned about the one-time University of Georgia star's chances of winning. Walker has been open about his past struggles with mental health and dissociative identity disorder, including alleged violent outbursts against his ex-wife.
When we come back,
2% of people in Georgia are fully vaccinated.
Former UGA and NFL football star Herschel Walker filing paperwork today to run for the U.S. Senate in Georgia. Walker has been living in Texas and has never run for office before. He will have the backing of former President Donald Trump in the Republican primary. 11 Alive's Doug Richards has more on Walker's candidacy and what Republicans are saying about it.
Herschel Walker has 2 big assets that could make him a formidable candidate to win the U.S. Senate seat next year, now held by Democrat Raphael Warnock. Herschel Walker has gotten lots of encouragement to run for the U.S. Senate from the most popular figure in the Republican Party, former President Donald Trump. And Walker won the Heisman Trophy 40 years ago as a running back on the last University of Georgia team to win a national championship. Walker is still a football legend in Georgia, even though Walker has lived in Texas for much of his adult life. In fact, we found that he got homestead exemptions on his suburban Dallas home, a tax break made for primary residences. But Walker quietly registered to vote in Georgia earlier this month using an address in Buckhead. To win, Walker would have to get past other Republicans, including Agriculture Commissioner Gary Black, who welcomed Walker to the race this afternoon on Twitter.
Herschel, welcome back to Georgia. Welcome to the U.S. Senate race.
Black also attended UGA when Walker was playing football.
It starts with where I'm going to be in the coming months, all over Georgia.
Walker will face challenges as a candidate, talking about allegations of domestic violence and mental health issues that he has disclosed. Black challenged Walker to launch his campaign this weekend at Perry with a joint appearance with him at a fish fry.
A lot of memorable things from Doug's report there.
He's got a lot of interesting stuff on the wall. And it's
all
only
over
grown,
here.
It seems. Doug must be bored at various times.
Oh, yes, his background. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Atlanta mayor's race.
Former NFL star Herschel Walker is running for Senate in Georgia. He hopes to win the Republican primary and challenge incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock in 2022. Walker is currently the co-chair of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, and he will likely face scrutiny during his run for office over past issues, including mental illness and domestic abuse allegations.
Northwest former football star Herschel Walker announcing a campaign for U.S. Senate in Georgia.
The Republican ends months of speculation marked by both former President Trump's and other prominent party members' concerns about the political newcomer's ability to win a crucial seat. Walker has great name recognition, but some heavy issues. He's been public about his struggles with mental health and dissociative identity disorder, including alleged violent outbursts against his ex-wife.
Don't put away those.
Trump ally Herschel Walker officially jumping into Georgia's Senate race after months of encouragement from Trump himself. But GOP strategists and lawmakers think the party could be throwing this seat away. Tom Foreman is out front.
Herschel Walker made his name running on the track, on the football field. And now the former NFL star is running as a Republican for a U.S. Senate seat in his home state.
I'm a kid from a small town in Georgia who's lived the American dream, and I'm ready to fight to keep that dream alive for you too.
I want to say hello to Herschel Walker, Athens.
Walker has risen in political prominence in part because he and Donald Trump have formed a mutual admiration society.
I also get upset because he don't get the credit he deserves for all the things that he's done in the African American community.
Beyond that, however, it gets complicated.
There's talk in Georgia, there's more skeletons in Herschel Walker's closet than there are closets.
Walker, who was a Heisman Trophy winner for the University of Georgia, played for the Vikings, Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys.
I'm getting ready. And we can run with the big dogs.
He only recently moved back to Georgia from Texas. He's never sought nor served in office before. The Associated Press says he's greatly exaggerated his business success, and strategists wonder how voters might react to his personal life.
I played Russian roulette before.
You played Russian roulette?
Yeah, I played Russian roulette before and stuff.
In 2008, Walker and his former wife Cindy discussed his mental health issues with CNN Dr. Sanjay Gupta, including episodes of threatened violence.
He held the gun to my temple and said he was going to blow my brains out.
Trump loyalists will undoubtedly love how Walker has embraced the big lie of a stolen election. But the incumbent Democrat, Senator Raphael Warnock, has his own strong following. He is raising money hand over fist and traveling the state.
Not talking about Herschel Walker, not talking about 2022 really, but talking about how Democratic priorities are helping to expand the economy and bring new jobs to Georgia.
He doubts that Walker could win the primary. He's famous. Trump loves him, and Georgians are crazy about their football stars. But Republicans have to win the general election to take the Senate, and there, Democrats want to exploit all of that to give a really bruising fight to this legendary athlete. Okay.
Tom, thank you.
First on CNN, there are some new revelations that are raising troubling questions about a high-profile Republican candidate in next year's U.S. Senate election in Georgia. Herschel Walker is a college football legend, as well as a friend of former President Donald Trump. Here's CNN's senior investigative correspondent, Drew Griffin.
He is often called the greatest college football player of all time. In the state of Georgia, he is a legend. As a University of Georgia running back, Herschel Walker won the national championship and the Heisman Trophy. Now, at 59 years old, Walker is running in a whole new game.
My name is Herschel Walker, and I'm running for the United States Senate.
As a Republican who is close friends with former President Donald Trump.
I've known Donald Trump for 37 years, and I don't mean just casual ran into him from time to time. I'm talking about a deep personal friendship.
But new allegations are surfacing about Walker's troubled past, detailed in this police report from Irving, Texas in 2002, which CNN obtained through a records request. A woman telling police she was very frightened of Walker, that he had previously been calling her, making threats to her, and having her house watched. And when she saw him at a resort that day, he jumped into his vehicle and followed her all the way to her house. The woman contacted by CNN asked not to be identified and said she never dated Walker, but is friends with his ex-wife. It's the latest revelation of similar incidents involving Herschel Walker, though he's never been charged with a crime.
I was very sad, I was angry, and I didn't understand why.
Walker has previously linked his behavior to a mental illness called dissociative identity disorder, telling CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta in 2008 that he has fragments of alternate personalities or alters that take over.
You can get angry, but the anger that you can go out and really hurt someone. And that's when you know you got a problem.
Walker wrote a book about it in 2008 with some chilling passages, including one where he talks about thinking of murdering a man who was late delivering a car. All I could think was how satisfying it would feel to squeeze the trigger, the visceral enjoyment I'd get from seeing the small entry wound and the spray of brain tissue and blood like a 4th of July firework exploding behind him.
You played Russian roulette?
I played Russian roulette before and stuff, and then more than once.
He said he was sharing his story to remove the stigma of mental health, and in a sign of support, his ex-wife joined him on media appearances for his book and confirmed she, too, had been a target of Walker's frightening personalities.
He held the gun to my temple and said he was going to blow my brains out.
But a few years before that interview, Walker's ex-wife, Cindy Grossman, got a protective order against him. Her sister submitted an affidavit saying he stated unequivocally that he was going to shoot my sister Cindy and her boyfriend in the head. In another incident in 2012, a police report shows a woman who was involved in an on-off type relationship for decades with Walker said he told her that he was going to come and sit outside her apartment and blow her head off when she came outside. He then told he was going to blow his head off after he killed her. In a statement, Walker's campaign said Herschel emphatically denies these false claims about the 2012 incident. On the other reported threats, Herschel has been very open about his mental health journey. Since getting help, Herschel has dedicated his life to helping others.
Wolf, except for some puffball interviews on Fox, Herschel Walker has been mostly inaccessible in his early campaign. It's not clear if these issues will become an issue in the Republican primary. His challengers, along with him, are trying to figure out how to delicately go on the attack against this beloved Georgia football star whose biggest supporter also happens to be Donald Trump. Wolf?
A high-profile Republican candidate in Georgia's U.S. Senate race faces a troubling new allegation. Herschel Walker is a college football legend and a friend of former President Donald Trump. A Texas woman now alleges he stalked and threatened her years ago. As Drew Griffin reports, Walker has acknowledged similar behavior in other cases, citing his mental health.
He is often called the greatest college football player of all time. In the state of Georgia, he is a legend. As a University of Georgia running back, Herschel Walker won the national championship and the Heisman Trophy. Now, at 59 years old, Walker is running in a whole new game.
My name is Herschel Walker, and I'm running for the United States Senate.
As a Republican who is close friends with former President Donald Trump.
I've known Donald Trump for 37 years, and I don't mean just casual ran into him from time to time. I'm talking about a deep personal friendship.
But new allegations are surfacing about Walker's troubled past, detailed in this police report from Irving, Texas in 2002, which CNN obtained through a records request. A woman telling police she was very frightened of Walker, that he had previously been calling her, making threats to her, and having her house watched. And when she saw him at a resort that day, he jumped into his vehicle and followed her all the way to her house. The woman contacted by CNN asked not to be identified and said she never dated Walker, but is friends with his ex-wife. It's the latest revelation of similar incidents involving Herschel Walker, though he's never been charged with a crime.
I was very sad. I was angry, and I didn't understand why.
Walker has previously linked his behavior to a mental illness called dissociative identity disorder, telling CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta in 2008 that he has fragments of alternate personalities or alters that take over.
You can get angry, but the anger that you can go out and really hurt someone. And that's when you know you got a problem.
Walker wrote a book about it in 2008 with some chilling passages, including one where he talks about thinking of murdering a man who was late delivering a car. All I could think was how satisfying it would feel to squeeze the trigger, the visceral enjoyment I'd get from seeing the small entry wound and the spray of brain tissue and blood like a 4th of July firework exploding behind him.
You played Russian roulette?
I played Russian roulette before and stuff, and then more than once.
He said he was sharing his story to remove the stigma of mental health, and in a sign of support, his ex-wife joined him on media appearances for his book and confirmed she, too, had been a target of Walker's frightening personalities.
He held a gun to my temple and said he was going to blow my brains out.
But a few years before that interview, Walker's ex-wife, Cindy Grossman, got a protective order against him. Her sister submitted an affidavit saying he stated unequivocally that he was going to shoot my sister Cindy and her boyfriend in the head. In another incident in 2012, a police report shows a woman who was involved in an on-off type relationship for decades with Walker said he told her that he was going to come and sit outside her apartment and blow her head off when she came outside. He then told he was going to blow his head off after he killed her. In a statement, Walker's campaign said Herschel emphatically denies these false claims about the 2012 incident. On the other reported threats, Herschel has been very open about his mental health journey. Since getting help, Herschel has dedicated his life to helping others.
Former President Trump has endorsed Walker in that race.
Problems continue to surround former football player Herschel Walker, who is now running for U.S. Senate in Georgia. CNN has released alleged records accusing the Republican candidate of stalking and threatening a woman back in 2002. The woman reportedly told CNN she is a friend of Walker's ex-wife, Cindy. The woman says Walker had her house watched. She also adds one day they ran into each other at a resort and he jumped into his car to follow her home. Over the years, 2 other women have accused the Senate candidate of threats. His ex-wife, Cindy, had a protective order against him. He has since declared he suffers from dissociative identity disorder and has become an advocate for mental health. There is a new allegation against U.S. Senate candidate Herschel Walker. The details from the woman coming.
There's a new allegation against U.S. Senate candidate Herschel Walker. The details from the woman coming forward straight ahead. To surround former football player Herschel Walker, who is now running for U.S. Senate in Georgia. CNN has released alleged records accusing the Republican candidate of stalking and threatening a woman back in 2002. The woman reportedly told CNN she's a friend of Walker's ex-wife, Cindy. The woman says Walker had her house watched. She also adds one day they ran into each other at a resort and he jumped into his car to follow her home. And over the years, 2 other women have accused the Senate candidate of threats. His ex-wife, Cindy, had a protective order against him. He has since declared he suffers from dissociative identity disorder and has become an advocate for mental health.
Violence against women. Joining me now is Joan Walsh, national affairs correspondent for The Nation, and Anthea Butler, religion professor at the University of Pennsylvania and author of White Evangelical Racism, The Politics of Morality in America. I want to start with you, Joan, on this, because that 2019 article, which I'm going to tweet it out, and I recommend everybody take a look at it, because it makes that connection between this sort of, they're all coming to get us, white genocide, replacement theory, sort of racist theory, and their attitude toward women, where they say, our women aren't doing their job, and therefore they need to be controlled. They need to be constantly controlled. And so now we have these kinds of candidates running. And 2 of them have Trump's backing. A woman who had an affair with Republican Senate candidate in Missouri, Eric Greitens, said that he sexually assaulted her and blackmailed her with nude photos. The estranged wife of Army veteran Sean Parnell, the leading Republican candidate in Pennsylvania, twice took out temporary protection from abuse orders against him. The ex-wife of Herschel Walker, the football legend, who's the frontrunner of the GOP nomination in Georgia, claimed in divorce records that he was physically abusive and threatened to murder her. Walker and Parnell have Trump's endorsement. Your thoughts?
Well, I think the replacement theory, Joy, is just the perfect intersection of racism and misogyny. And I just want to note that I was with you on the morning when we learned about Charlottesville, when we heard those Nazis in khakis chanting, "Jews will not replace us." And we were both like, huh? And then we got to know better that there's this insane theory out there that does overlap with, we don't like Black people, we don't like brown people, and we really think the white women are letting us down. So you've got this Venn diagram of replacement theorists, Nazis, Tucker Carlson, incels, and I wish we could just throw a tarp on it and ask someone to come take it away.
Who's out there for this early? Well, new this morning, Emma, more people are endorsing former Georgia football star and candidate, Georgia Senate, Herschel Walker.
Yeah, the latest Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, this morning, reporter Sunil Separdi looks at how the race is shaping up. Yeah.
You know what qualified me to run is because I love America.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell throwing his support behind Herschel Walker. The latest sign the Republican establishment is coalescing behind the Georgia Senate candidate. I am happy to endorse Herschel Walker for U.S. Senate in Georgia, McConnell said in a statement Wednesday. Herschel is the only one who can unite the party, defeat Senator Warnock, and help us take back the Senate. But McConnell didn't always feel that way. Over the summer, the GOP leader had privately expressed concerns with Walker's potential candidacy against incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock, and even tried to recruit former Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler to run for the seat. McConnell becomes the 6th Republican senator to endorse Walker, including South Dakota Senator John Thune, the number 2 Senate Republican, on Monday. With today's apparent change of heart, McConnell is now in full alignment with former President Trump.
You know, Herschel is not only a Georgia hero, he is an American legend.
Walker, a former football star, was recruited by Trump to run.
I've known Donald Trump for 37 years, and I don't mean just casual ran into him from time to time. I'm talking about a deep personal friendship.
The political newcomer has faced scrutiny over his past and allegations of abuse. He was accused of threatening his ex-wife and friend of hers in the early 2000s.
You can get angry, but the anger that you can go out and really hurt someone. And that's when you know you got a problem.
Walker spoke to CNN in 2008 about his struggle with dissociative identity disorder, previously known as multiple personality disorder, which his campaign has said he has received help for since the alleged incidents.
How many alters did you or do you have?
You know, to be honest, I have no idea.
His ex-wife detailing how he had threatened her with knives and guns as he struggled with his mental illness.
He held a gun to my temple and said he was going to blow my brains out.
An ex-girlfriend also said Walker threatened to kill her in this 2012 police report, which his campaign has denied. Walker has also embraced Trump's lies about the 2020 election.
We got to do what's right now and not certify this here. And let's find out what's really going on in the state of Georgia.
While the former president in turn looks to boost Walker's campaign.
What a guy. Thank you, Herschel.
Coming up.
Plus, a developing story tonight about Republican Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker. What a newly uncovered police report is now saying. Republican Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker in the spotlight tonight, as a 2001 police report from Irving, Texas reveals police confiscated a gun from him during a domestic disturbance. According to the police report, Walker's therapist called police because he was acting volatile at the home of his estranged wife, who would soon file for divorce. Police say Walker had a gun on him during the incident. Walker's campaign blames the media for publicizing the account. He's running against Senator Raphael Warnock. Movement in
right now in the GOP conference. And, you know, you see that Mitch McConnell really doesn't care. He has Herschel Walker, and some report came out today about Herschel Walker and some possible shootout because of his interactions with his wife. They don't care about the quality of people. They just want a body so that they can put up and they can take power. They don't care about working on behalf of the American people.
Armed robbery.
Republican Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker in the spotlight tonight, as a 2001 police report from Irving, Texas reveals police confiscated a gun from him during a domestic disturbance. According to the police report, Walker's therapist called police because he was acting volatile at the home of his estranged wife, who would soon file for divorce. Police say Walker had a gun on him during the incident. Walker's campaign blames the media for publicizing the account. He's running against Senator Raphael Warnock. Movement in
U.S. Senate candidate Herschel Walker talked about having a shootout with police. That's according to a 21-year-old police report recently obtained by the Associated Press.
And here's what we know. 11 Alive's Doug Richards taking us through the report, shedding new light on incidents of violence that the former football star has acknowledged as part of a troubled past.
Herschel Walker hasn't disputed accounts of incidents of domestic violence, attributing them to mental illness. But this new report has details that Walker's opponents say voters should find troubling. Police described Herschel Walker as the suspect in a January 2012 incident detailed in an Irving, Texas police report, where a girlfriend said Walker allegedly threatened to blow her head off during a dispute. 10 years earlier, Walker's therapist told police Walker was volatile and armed with a pistol. According to the Associated Press, that report says Walker talked about having a shootout with police. Walker was not arrested nor charged in either incident. Now Walker is the Donald Trump-backed candidate for the U.S. Senate in Georgia.
One, I don't think there's a statute of limitation when it comes to threatening police. That's a very serious charge, and I think it's actually a disqualifying charge, just in my opinion.
Gary Black is the state agriculture commissioner running against Walker in the GOP primary. Because of Trump's backing, the former Georgia football star appears to be the candidate to beat, despite incidents like those in Texas.
It does trouble me, but I think that's something we've all, as voters, got to decide.
Republicans are mostly unwilling to criticize Walker, including some like Butch Miller, who is running for lieutenant governor. Do you have any concerns about possibly running with Herschel Walker?
No concerns whatsoever. I just want all these other candidates to ride my coattails. Thank you very much.
Okay. That's a serious question.
That was a serious answer.
But I'm glad it came out now instead of later. And so our Republican voters can take that in consideration when they go to the polls in May.
Do you view it as disqualifying of Walker?
Oh, I don't feel it disqualifying at all of Walker.
Walker's campaign told the AP that it's the media's fault that Walker's past continues to get scrutiny. Georgia voters will weigh in on the race 101 days from now. At the Capitol, Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
Herschel Walker spoke with Axios back in December, advocating for people to confront mental health issues and saying that he was accountable for past violent behavior toward his ex-wife. Beyond that, he hasn't hosted many public events, nor has he spoken with many media outlets, even though we frequently have asked him for interviews as well.
F.com. New details tonight about accusations that continue to follow Senate candidate Herschel Walker. Next at 6, we're taking a closer look at the police report and hearing why the man running against him says this report deserves more attention.
New details have emerged from a domestic violence call involving U.S. Senate candidate Herschel Walker. The police report says Walker talked about having a shootout with police when a frightened therapist called police during a volatile encounter with Walker in Texas 21 years ago. That according to AP. Add this to other incidents involving Walker and which Walker acknowledges as attributable to mental illness issues. Walker is, of course, the Donald Trump-backed Senate candidate. So how do Republicans view him now? Tonight on 11 Alive News at 6.
Well, controversy surrounds Georgia U.S. Senate candidate Herschel Walker, and it could impact the upcoming GOP primary elections. The former UGA football players' Republican rivals, Gary Black and Latham Sadler, are saying their party cannot risk nominating someone with Walker's background. Earlier this week, the AP reported police in Texas once confiscated a gun from Walker after a 2001 domestic disturbance. Plus, they detailed police reports in which his ex-wife and former girlfriends said he made a string of violent threats. Herschel Walker has been seen as a strong candidate as he's endorsed by the Senate's top Republicans and former President Donald Trump. And turning back now to our
Mr. Walker, a lot of people have been talking about your incidents in the past of violence against women. Is it reasonable to judge your character based on those incidents?
Oh, well, the incident was true. And, they said violence against women. You got to first figure out that's true. And then the thing is, I think people got to judge that. I think people in Georgia know who I am. I wrote a book about it. I've been out doing a lot of military stuff about a lot of that stuff. And I think what I tell people to do is go out and read my book, and they'll see what is true. Right now, people want to win, and I can understand that. But right now, you got to tell people the truth. And that's the reason I got in this race, because I think we're tired of this cancer culture. We're tired of people not telling the truth, and right now we're not getting the truth from a lot of things going on in this country right now.
Do you think women have a reason to judge your character based on those incidents?
Always women. Not those incidents. You got to be true first, and then the next thing is I think women do have a judgment. I think women will be safer with Herschel Walker than anyone, because I am the safe candidate in this race. I think right now you see what's going on in this country. I don't think anyone is safe. Right now you see violent crime is picked up. So I think I'm one of the ones that can help solve it.
Are you going
to? Meanwhile, Republicans want to flip the Georgia Senate seat held by Raphael Warnock. And again, when you look at the midterm patterns of the past, it should be a good year for Republicans. But party members might be having some second thoughts about GOP frontrunner Herschel Walker. Two stories out today. One from Politico saying some are worried about his past allegations of domestic violence being fodder for Democrats in a general election. And the other from CNN, in which Walker, who claimed to have graduated in the top 1% of his class from the University of Georgia, turns out to have never graduated.
Breakers, and we've seen this all over the country. We have people who've been accused of domestic violence, all kinds of things, running in Republican races, but they have the support of Donald Trump, folks like Herschel Walker in Georgia. And so we will see what this means. But it's interesting in that more and more we've seen that things have hardened into partisan tribal politics, and something like a record as long as your arm has had decreasing significance.
Republican nominees this time around in statewide races, well, the attack ads pretty much write themselves. On the Senate side, Herschel Walker in Georgia with his domestic violence allegations.
That is good for Republicans, especially given the fact that Democrats hold the presidency, the Senate, and the House. And usually when that happens, the opposite party does well in the midterms. It's just by tradition. But when you do look at some of these races, when you look at Herschel Walker looking like he's going to be the nominee in Georgia, for example, and you also compare that to the fact that this poll that Sam just went through shows that 1 in 3 Republican voters are okay if their candidate or their elected official committed domestic violence. I mean, those are the contrast ads right there that Democrats can run. And by the way, I don't know what independents are thinking on some of these numbers, but I can't imagine that independents are okay with, or the majority of independents rather, are okay with their candidates committing domestic violence or even making racist remarks.
Across the country this month.
We've endorsed Dr. Oz.
In Pennsylvania, Trump is backing celebrity Dr. Mehmet Oz for Senate. And he's also endorsed several controversial candidates, including Herschel Walker in Georgia, previously accused of domestic violence, and Charles Herbster for governor in Nebraska, accused by multiple women of sexual assault. Trump campaigned for him,
football players who were arrested in the past year. We told you last week, Akil Crumpton was indicted on federal murder charges for the killing of an Oconee County gas station worker, and Adam Anderson was charged with rape during last season. The former star was suspended from the team and has pleaded not guilty.
What tonight's results in 5 states could mean for the midterm elections. Plus, former NFL star Herschel Walker, Trump's friend and Senate pick, poised to become Georgia's Republican nominee. But will past allegations of domestic violence from his ex-wife threaten his campaign?
Put the gun right to your temple. What did he say?
I'm gonna blow your effing brains out.
What Walker told our Bob Woodruff about his complex mental health diagnosis in 2008.
I'm not ashamed because, guys, I'm human. I'm not nobody special. I'm just Herschel.
Why Walker says he's now healed. Primary, meaning we could see a 2018 rematch, a rematch between the 2018 contest between Kemp and Abrams. Meanwhile, another Trump-endorsed candidate, Herschel Walker, is the clear favorite to win the nomination in the Senate race, despite having skipped all the debates and avoiding answering questions about past allegations of domestic violence, physical threats against women, and stalking.
He'll be able to force a runoff if he doesn't win the primary. If Herschel Walker wins the primary Tuesday night, King says he'll vote for him in the general election, but not campaign for him.
I have some personal issues with Mr. Walker. I grew up in a household of domestic violence, and I would not support someone with those claims or accusations. So that is personal for me.
State, women's health issues, abortion rights, and also the economy.
That is so interesting that they're framing their attack ads by saying, first, we know he's inspiring. Good catch with that. Elise, you talked to a number of voters in part of your focus group, and part of the conversation focused on Herschel Walker. Tell me what they told you.
Well, it was fascinating because the group of Republican voters we spoke with and the group of Democratic voters, they both had the same question about Herschel Walker. What's his mental fitness? Is he up to task? Is he mentally sound enough to serve as a U.S. Senator? So let's watch what they had to say in these focus groups last week in Atlanta.
If Herschel Walker is going up against Raphael Warnock, how are you going to vote?
Wow, that's tough because of what he's come out here lately saying with, what is it, playing Russian roulette or something and knowingly putting a gun to his head because of his mental stability. That's tough to swallow. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one. It really is.
I have no problem with him. Just about any conservative is better than just about any communist Democrat.
I feel that way, too. Herschel Walker is up against Raphael Warnock. Would anyone consider voting for Herschel Walker?
Why? Because he's Herschel Walker? He's a football player?
He's a famous
What do you
football
think
player.
of him? Tell me what you think about him.
No, nothing about him. He's a famous football player.
That's it.
That's literally all he has. He doesn't go to debates. They say he's a bad speaker. So what's his agenda? We know nothing.
I mean, he fits in because he doesn't. I haven't heard any policy-driven, and I haven't heard him advocating any positions of policy.
A lot of opinions about him, strong opinions about him on both sides.
Well, and that's why this race is going to, be a compelling race, an entertaining race, not to turn politics into a game, but it's going to be quite a show because Herschel Walker is such an icon within Georgia and such a personality. And the allegations against him of domestic abuse are really just quite horrible. And so how is this going to play out as Herschel Walker can't avoid the press, as he has, if he's going to be forced into a debate, how is he going to perform?
And this could be determinative for who controls the Senate. It's one of those races that Republicans and Democrats are both watching. Latasha, let's talk about turnout. We've already...
Impossible. Walker, of course, is walking into Election Day with lots of questions about his businesses, finances, and accusations of domestic violence. That's caused some in the Republican Party to question whether he can be a viable.
I think also a lot of these outside groups will be pouring money into the Senate race, and they will be attacking him on those domestic violence allegations and also the mental health issue.
But Walker has a past where there's some questions about domestic violence allegations and overstated resumes.
Be some baggage that Herschel Walker has from the past as it relates to a domestic violence incident.
Edge. I mean, Herschel Walker has so many issues, so many problems. Obviously, domestic violence being one of them that he's talked openly about. But
there's been a ton of negative stories about his allegations of domestic violence in the past, questionable business practices, overstating his resume and personal record.
He won the Republican primary last month with nearly 70% of the vote, despite allegations over past domestic violence and his struggle with multiple personalities.
Their claim is that the machines stole the election from Trump and they don't want it to happen again. I guess it's easier to believe that than the fact that millions of Arizonans were just sick of the orange buffoon. Then there's once respected NFL star Herschel Walker of Georgia, whose campaign has lied about his high school accolades, overstated his business accomplishments, and straight up avoided talking about his history of violent outbursts. According to court reports obtained by the Associated Press, Walker's ex-wife secured a protective order against him, alleging violent and controlling behavior. She once told ABC News that Walker pointed a gun to her head and threatened to blow her effing brains out. Charming. A judge was so troubled by Walker's behavior that he not only found it to be good cause to issue a protective order, he also barred Walker from possessing guns for a period of time in Georgia.